Hello, my name is Brian. Welcome to the channel. One of my favorite annual traditions is to go visit the Cherry Blossom Festival in Washington, D.C. The Cherry Blossom Festival is run by the National Park Service over 3 weeks beginning in mid-March and ending in early April. It receives over 1.5 million visitors per year. Currently, there are over 100 performances that take place on the A&A stage. There's a pink tie party at Union Station, a kite festival, Pedalpalooza and fireworks set to music, and then the National Cherry Blossom Festival Parade down Constitution Avenue. We like to travel down to Washington, D.C. and park at the new Carrolton station in Maryland, and then take the Orange Line Metro train into the Smithsonian stop. Getting off the Smithsonian stop, we then walk to the Washington Monument and World War II Memorial, and cross over the street, and then walk around the Tidal Basin in a clockwise fashion. Along the way, we'll pass by the Jefferson Memorial, the FDR Memorial, and the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. We'll then cross back over the highway, and we'll see the World War I Memorial, the Lincoln Monument, Vietnam War Memorial, Korean War Memorial, and then walk along the reflection pool back up toward the Washington Monument and the World War II Memorial. The cherry blossoms along the Tidal Basin were a gift of cherry trees from Mayor Yukio Ozaki of Tokyo City in March of 1912 to enhance the growing friendship between the U.S. and Japan. The idea originated in 1885 from Eliza Skidmore, who returned from a trip to Japan with the idea. Skidmore was later the first female board member of the National Geographic Society, and she pressured for over 30 years to have cherry trees planted in the Washington, D.C. area. In 1906, a prominent botanist named David Fairchild imported 1,000 trees and planted them in Washington, D.C. and the Chevy Chase area. Then in 1909, Eliza Skidmore wrote to First Lady Helen Taft about the idea of raising money to buy cherry trees and donate them to the Washington District of Columbia along the Speedway, which is now known as Ohio Avenue. By luck, Jokichi Takamine, a Japanese chemist who discovered adrenaline, heard of the plan and donated 2,000 trees. On August 30th of 1909, the Embassy of Japan in Washington, D.C. also jumped aboard with 2,000 trees from Tokyo. However, agricultural inspection forced them to be burnt because they were full of pests and nematodes. Finally, on Valentine's Day in 1912, 3,020 cherry trees of 12 different cultivars were shipped successfully from Tokyo to Seattle and then to Washington, D.C. by rail, and planted on March the 27th, 1912 on the north bank of the Tidal Basin. There is a plaque that marks the site where the first 2 cherry trees were planted. The first Cherry Blossom Festival was held in 1934 and has become an annual tradition since 1935. In 1954, the Japanese lantern made of granite, which was originally carved in 1651, was presented by the governor of Tokyo. 3,800 more trees were planted in 1965 along the Washington Monument area. 70% of the trees in the Tidal Basin area are Yoshino cherry trees, which have white blossoms. Starting after the 2024 Cherry Blossom Festival, over 140 cherry trees, including the famous tree Stumpy, will be cut down as part of a multi-year restoration project of the crumbling seawall at the Tidal Basin. Due to global warming and rising sea levels, this area floods 2 times a day and is in need of urgent repair. The $133 million project will probably last about 3 years, and there will be 277 replacement cherry trees planted at the end of the project. So this is the year to get down to Washington, D.C. and to see the cherry blossoms, because it'll have an entirely different look after this year. The Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial, located on West Potomac Park, covers 4 acres and includes the Stone of Hope. It was carved by the sculptor Lee Zizin, and the inspiration came from Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech, where he said, "Out of the mountain of despair, a stone of hope." If you look at it from the right angle, you can see that the pillar that has Martin Luther King Jr.'s statue on it is moved forward from the stone mountain in the background. I feel very strongly about seeing the Cherry Blossom Festival every single year, and I always like to try to time the visit for the peak of the cherry blossoms, and also on the day that is usually the warmest day. Sometimes it gets to be like 80 degrees for that one perfect day in late March, and that's the day that I always seem to get to go see the cherry trees. The cherry trees themselves remind me of the innocence of my youth, and one of those carpe diem type poems that was written by A.E. Hoosman called "Loveliest of Trees." It goes like this: "Loveliest of trees, the cherry now is hung with bloom along the bough, and stands against the woodland ride, wearing white for Eastertide. Now of my 80 years and 10, 20 will not come again, and take from 70 springs a score, it only leaves me 50 more. But since to look at things in bloom, 50 springs is little room, about the woodlands I will go to see the cherry hung with snow." Thank you very much for watching this episode. We really appreciate your support of our channel. Again, if you want to be a subscriber, just click that little band icon in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, and it doesn't cost you anything. You just have to enter your email address, and then you can be a subscriber to our channel. That will really help us out a lot. Also, if you don't want to miss any of our videos, then make sure you click the notifications bell, and be sure to like and leave us a comment. We'd like to hear from you. Until next time, happy travels.